a mission. A lot of men don't have a mission anymore. They're just kind of floating through life. Yeah. That's why organizations are so important to be part of some organization.
Yeah. And, a lot of people are very skeptical of organizing, and it goes back to the whole Fed thing because they think there's a Fed here, there's a Fed everywhere. You do anything and they're going to destroy you. But in reality, if you have discipline, just like in fighting, right?
Yeah, you have to be disciplined.
If you're not disciplined, of course you're going to get hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're still going to get hit in the face with discipline, but you're going to be winning most of your fights.
Exactly. And it's not, it's about how well you can take it. And with our organization, of course, we've been hit before. We've had legal attacks. We've had attacks from Antifa and things like that. But we have the
Oh, please, attacks from Antifa.
discipline to build back. And we also have the overriding purpose that what we know, this is valuable. We know this is worth doing. And you can do so much to keep everything so safe. In the organization, we are explicitly nonviolent. We don't engage in anything like that.
Oh, come on. Really? You're going to tell me you're explicitly nonviolent when we have a ton of footage of you, fighting people? Give it a rest.
We don't do anything with guns. I talked about that on the PBD podcast.
Well, yeah, when you say a lot of
Oh, I didn't know he was on PBD. Was it adversarial, I wonder? Probably not, right? PBD probably, agreed with most of what he said. Jesus.
I want to watch it. You don't.
Patrick Bet David, unfamiliar?
Unfamiliar.
He's Iranian, actually. He's a right-wing, Iranian podcaster or whatever, YouTuber, and he's gigantic. He's got a ton of followers. He's filthy rich because he basically started a pyramid scheme. Is some kind of an insurance scam where, if you pay in this much money and you buy these many things and you get these many people to also purchase their stuff, then you don't have, you get a discount and I don't even know what it was all about, but that's how he got rich, was through that. And now he's a podcaster and a total scumbag, effectively. And a right-winger,
Well, yeah.
famously has all kinds of scumbags on.
allow a
Yeah. So we don't do militia training. We don't members.
What?
I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment, right? I think many of the restrictions on it are probably unconstitutional nowadays. But
What restrictions? What are you talking about? Restrictions on this? What are you talking about? What restrictions do you think there even are that could be considered unconstitutional?
If there is an Sorry, it got really loud outside.
Yeah.
If there was an unconstitutional restriction, literally everyone would know.
Now,
Or it just wouldn't happen.
they're claiming that, literally any restriction is...
Because of free speech and stuff.
Well, no. So the Second Amendment is the guns.
Oh, restriction on guns.
Yeah.
I missed
So-
something, my bad.
Here's the claim. People should be allowed to own nukes, just regular human beings out there, because the United States is a moral people. So if you're Christian, aka amoral people, then you should be allowed to own nukes.
Disagree that the United States is full of moral people.
Or Christians, and they certainly should not be allowed to own nukes. But aside from that, they're basically saying there should be no restrictions up to and including on nukes, according to the Second Amendment. I mean, it's delusion, some of the things that they believe about this.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
members do not train with each other with firearms. Members do not sell firearms to each other. Members, don't even talk about it, So, and same thing at our marches, you see all of our guys marching down, 200 guys in Nashville, 150 guys in, Manhattan and other things like that. There isn't so much as a pocket knife in that march.
Wow.
Not a single.
I can see that. That's intelligent. You shouldn't be bringing, weapons like that. It's a bad idea. Don't bring weapons to protests or marches, ever.
Pocket knives are illegal in New York.
They are. Yeah. I mean, Manhattan is pretty strict about weapons. Times Square is a no-gun zone, I believe.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's also part of the reason we don't have, shootings as much. We have people threatening to stab someone. In my school, someone got stabbed when I was in class.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, we went on lockdown. It was a guy.
I remember that.
It was a guy from a different school broke into our school.
I remember that, yeah. Dang.
Because my school shared a building with 3 other schools.
Yeah, I believe I do remember that now.
But yeah, no guns, no shootings, no anything.
There hasn't been a shooting in New York City, Brooklyn, Bronx, anywhere since 1999, to my understanding.
Yeah. And I don't know when the last school shooting was in New York.
99. It was in 99. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that was the school shooting?
Yeah, I believe so.
But yeah. So, point is, like, he couldn't have brought a pocket knife to his Manhattan protest.
It is intelligent to not bring guns to protests, though. That's the point. It would be incredibly irresponsible if he'd said that he does bring them.
Legal weapon, not
I
nothing.
guess it gives them too much to, like, if you guys get arrested with weapons, it's like, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we want to convey, and I have plenty of thoughts about the institution of the police, right? But when we go out there and we do our marches, I will keep an eye out for the nearest cop, and I will start telling him what the deal is, and I'll say, "Hey, peaceful march, no harm to
Yeah.
people or property. We're gonna walk around, we're gonna say our piece, and then I'm out of your hair. Sound good?" And usually, I mean, if you don't announce your marches, you get the regular beat cops, and they hear that, and they're like, "Oh, thank goodness, you're not one of those people who are gonna glue your hands to the road or something."
Yeah.
And
Was he referencing something?
Yes, that's a common like protest strategy. I think it's called shock protest, and PETA does that a lot. Not gluing their hands to the road specifically, but people do that oftentimes, and they have to basically come and get a construction crew down there and like drill, like with a jackhammer, drill part of the road out and take you to the hospital to dissolve the glue.
Interesting.
And it's a big thing, draws attention. You can't move. There's nothing that you can do to change a situation. And I don't believe that shock protest is useful at all. It's not. It actually, like he said, it makes you look bad.
Yeah.
PETA doesn't succeed in a lot of their protests in looking good because they do shock protest stuff.
It gets the word out, but then people think that what you're fighting for is bad.
Yeah, they think you're an
You're
idiot.
hurting people.
Yeah, even if that person is yourself, or even if you're inconveniencing people, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not a good way to draw, it's just not good. So anyway, there was also that one group, Just Stop Oil, who, as it turns out, is funded by right-wing billionaires that are trying to make the climate change movement look stupid. Just Stop Oil is a group that like goes around and like dumps like tomato soup on famous pieces of art in museums. They go to a museum and they
Saw that.
stuff like that. Right-wing billionaire funded group. So anyway, it's not a good way to protest. It's just not helpful at all. It does a lot more harm than good. If you want to protest, you should be doing it like on a road in a larger group and holding signs and stuff. That draws attention. That brings attention to your cause that may not have been there otherwise. And that's good. But don't be a fool,
you can get along to get along, and it's the practice of free speech. It's actually very possible because a lot of people, and especially, you don't see this as much now, but this used to be a bigger thing. People think you can't do public and demonstrations anymore. After Charlottesville, especially after J6, people thought, wow, public assembly, dead in the country.
Who said that? Who thinks that? What are you talking about? You say people believe that you're not allowed to like gather in public? What are you smoking?
It is in certain ways, but you have to be smart. You have to be diligent, and you have to be vigilant. But you have to practice your rights to the
I prefer being vigilant.
degree that you can.
Yeah, we have a First Amendment right. That's why I was confused of why you were arrested when you were up in Idaho. You guys were arrested and charged for inciting a riot or something,
Conspiracy,
but you're
yeah.
allowed to. Why can't we?
First Amendment right of freedom of speech is different than freedom to attack people, riot, be crazy.
Yeah.
So if he's saying you were arrested for starting a riot, that's not a crazy statement.
No.
People getting arrested at peaceful protests is wrong. People getting arrested at riots, not great, but understandable. Because if you're actively harming someone, you shouldn't be out there.
Right. And I think he said conspiracy. I'm not 100% sure what happened. I'm not actually familiar with this case, but if you're making a fool of yourself, if you're causing problems, if you're breaking the law, expect to be arrested. Simple as that. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Protest a pride parade. We have a right to not want.
Oh, they were protesting a pride parade. Interesting.
Yeah, and to go out there and protest it. So like, how was that? I'm really confused how you were charged with that.
So it was a huge mishandling of justice by the police force who
I bet. Yeah. Because the police, of course, they're well known for being left-wing supporters. The police are. They notoriously support liberals constantly. And the right can't catch a break with the police, right?
These two just said that these two are complaining that they got arrested for protesting human rights.
Yeah.
I'd like to point that I understand Pride Parade isn't considered human rights by everyone, especially them, but they went out, they took time out of their day to go out and say, I don't like that you have a crush on someone. Let's not.
I don't actually have a problem with them protesting at pride parades. I wouldn't want them arrested for that, of course. But that's certainly not where it ended. You don't get arrested for protesting pride parades. Give it a rest. There's such victims all the time.
maybe you can say that they thought that we were actually a different group of militia that made questionable comments and said they were going to show up. And then there was one man who called the police and said some statements which kind of got them on edge. And they are on a hair
I think
trigger.
that was a
What were the statements that were said?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. Whatever it is that he's saying, it's 15 times worse. He is framing this in a way that is most what's the word? That is most I can't think of the word. Most favorable to him and his side. That's what I was looking for. He's framing it in a favorable way to him.
He's also not telling us what happened. He says, well, they thought we were a different group and they said some statements. They called the police and said something, but he's not telling us what was said. He's not even giving us an idea of what was said. So, and I guarantee a police officer isn't going to hear, yeah, these guys are outside protesting this pride parade right now, and I think they're violent, and immediately go, yeah, they're probably violent. Let's go arrest them without any evidence.
Police are actually notoriously right wing.
So, nothing.
So if they were arrested at a pride parade for protest or whatever it was definitely deserved. You do not get arrested by the police as a right winger for nothing. It just doesn't happen. There are certainly right wingers in the group. There are certainly police officers in the group. As the song goes, some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses, i.e., some of the police are also Klansmen.
real group. I think that was to set you guys up.
So the man who actually first called the police, and I don't know his name or anything, he remained anonymous, but he actually ended up testifying in a few of the trials. And he said, yeah, I mean, they seemed nice. He was...
You can seem super nice. A lot of the Klansmen are really, really nice if you're white. Nobody said that you can't be nice. No one said that you're the embodiment of evil. They said that you're a complete scumbag who's trying to break the law. Are you serious right now? God, these people are such jokes, both of them.
He was shocked by what we do because it's kind of a spectacle and that's okay. And we don't go to small towns like that. But he was shocked. But then when he actually followed up and learned more about it, he didn't seriously think and defend in court the idea that we were there to cause violence. The prosecution's whole argument, and they hid evidence. That's why my case got dismissed. That's why.
Yeah, you're a victim here, right? Yeah, absolutely. You're the victim. You're super victimized by everybody, right? 100%.
Another case got dismissed because the prosecution lied repeatedly. They withheld evidence that proved our innocence.
Oh my God, give
That-
a rest.
Their innocence.
Yeah.
I want to have my mom read through look through this or watch their trial because she's been really interested in watching trials go through recently. I'm wondering if she could watch that trial and recognize whether or not he's telling the truth here, which
He's certainly not. We can read the transcript of the thing. That's been really useful, reading transcripts stuff.
but
Maybe we should look through it.
his case isn't going to get dismissed because they were hiding evidence that would prove he's innocent and whatever. That's just not happening.
Such a victim.
And they did that all the same while pushing people into trial before they had their due process.
And it's two of these guys.
Okay. Pushing people into trial before they had their due process. Do you know what due process is? That is literally having a trial. What is wrong with this dude?
Guys aren't arrested. I feel like these prosecutors, they won't be, but they should be arrested and charged or disbarred. That's just like hiding evidence. This is so
says disembarred. They should be disembarred, not to be confused with disemboweled.
So
And
wrong.
all the while wasting millions of dollars of taxpayer funds of this local small town who
He's trying to make it sound super terrible. He's like, they were wasting millions of dollars from this local small town, from the taxes that you, the people, are paying, and this is terrible and destroying you.
Just monsters.
has no business, and you could have built a library with that money. You could have, fixed up the wall.
Yeah, he cares about libraries being built with money. Absolutely.
Guys, you could have built a library with the money that these gay people are making me go to trial with. Like, okay.
So stupid, dude. Really.
Waterways with that money. You could have done anything but the absolute jack nothing that they did with it. A few guys did get convicted because I think they got pushed through a trial. It was too quick. It was not due process. And
They pled out, or they got convicted in jury trial.
they went all the way through a jury trial. They got convicted. They spent the weekend in jail. That's how little the judge thought of it.
They
Yeah.
didn't convict him of anything there. You guys just going to protest, right?
We were just going to protest, not a weapon among us.
First Amendment right to protest.
agree.
You don't have to accept.
Oh, please.
I personally don't hate gay people, but
Yeah.
I don't want it flaunted.
I bet.
Personally don't.
I bet you don't personally hate
Oh,
gay
wait,
people.
okay. I know what he's about to say. He's gonna say, I personally don't hate gay people, but I hate when they shove it down our throats, when they
Yep.
tell everyone that they're gay. Like, we don't need to know. I don't need you to be at a pride parade.
Yep.
Okay, let's see.
Amendment right to protest.
agree.
You don't have to accept. I personally don't hate gay people, but
Yeah.
I don't want it flaunted in my face either.
No, and they were
I don't think they need to run
dancing
around
the-
naked and like I lived in San Francisco. There.
Brother, nobody's doing that.
Good.
No one's doing that. We marched in a pride parade.
Yeah, at the pride parade, everyone, it was a requirement to be naked. You weren't allowed to have clothes. That's totally what's happening out here.
It was kid friendly, of course. The pride parade was kid friendly in New York City.
Because it's like
That's just how it works. Yeah, I mean they're kid friendly, obviously.
I have seen so many pride parades, and I don't think I've ever seen someone go into a pride parade and be fully naked.
Or anything questionable.
I-
I've never seen that before.
I've seen guys have their shirts off, but I also see guys have their shirts off at beaches.
Yeah, that's not.
Like, it's nothing. That was the extent of the supposedly nakedness that I was seeing there. There's no situation where any of this is happening.
Nah, this is just fictitious trash. Of course.
Come around naked.
Oops.
Go ahead.
I'd have guys having sex in front of my house. Sometimes I come out. It's just disgusting. Like
I've
I
never
don't want to see.
seen that.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I just don't.
I've
This is super far fetched.
I've seen a lot of stuff in New York, but I've never seen. And what's the situation that is he saying there was a pride parade right outside of his house, and then these two guys stopped in the middle of the parade to have sex outside his house?
I
don't know if I can say that.
I think I'll try to censor it if it's not okay, but I'm super suspicious of the story at all. But I think what I'm reading is he's pretending that it was part of a pride parade, but giving him the benefit of the doubt and assuming this really happened. I would say it's more likely that somebody was just, they knew that he's anti-gay and they decided to, harass him by doing something like that. That's
Like
my guess.
kissing?
Yeah, kissing.
Kissing outside of his house?
Yeah.
I mean,
Who knows?
I have seen, like, at a pride parade, people will come and protest the pride parade and they'll be screaming that they're against God and stuff. And I have seen two people of the same gender, this multiple times, just kiss each other and then stare at the person, like death stare. It's great.
Yeah. Actually, I have almost basically never seen two dudes kiss. It's super uncommon that I see that as a straight person who's not like really, I guess I go to pride parades. I've
Maybe
been
it's-
to one.
Maybe I've seen
Right.
it more because I'm, like, bi, so I've been around people more.
Even at the pride parade, I don't remember seeing two dudes kissing, actually. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Did you see two dudes kiss there?
And not at the pride parade, but I was also, like,
I didn't see anybody kissing.
I was so zoned out that entire time because I don't like walking, and we were standing in the heat for 30 minutes and whatever else.
Yeah, I was too. I turned down like my audiobook through the parade because it was like 4 miles walking or something.
Yeah. But I got a lot of stuff from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen girls kissing, I've seen guys kissing. It's no different.
No,
Just
no.
two straight people kissing.
Right.
So I don't know why this stuff bothers him so much.
Me either. Although, as a straight dude, I have to say that somebody who's very pro-gay, it takes me by surprise when I see two gay dudes kissing. Uh, One wouldn't expect that, and being as pro-gay as I am, it's confusing why it would take me by surprise the way that it does. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It takes me by surprise, and I don't see gay dudes kissing very often. It's very, very rare. So anyway,
I lived in New York and surrounded myself with other gay people, so it was, I saw everyone kissing all the time.
I don't think there's obviously nothing wrong with it, but I do think that there's something in humans that maybe creates an aversion if you're not gay. It's
I
like
disagree.
it's like knowing a gay guy that is absolutely repulsed by the idea of being with a woman. That's how I feel about being with a dude. It's just something that I cannot abide by at all. I just couldn't do it. In that same way. So I think it is something in human beings
Maybe I've
that
surrounded myself with too many gay people. I've
so there's no such thing as surrounding yourself with too many gay people, but just be sure that you, you know, get a variety of perspectives. Of course, that's the important part.
I'm trying to think. I think I have one straight friend. No, never mind. No, yeah, no, I have one straight friend.
Okay.
But yeah, no. I've never had anyone. Well, aside from you, I've never had anyone tell me that it shocks them or anything. I think it might have something to do with how you grew up because you didn't see gay people at all.
I don't think
But like
so. Maybe.
my friends and me, but like everyone I know we were all seeing gay people literally everywhere.
I saw gay people. I knew a gay dude in school, a couple of gay dudes, actually. My ex, Chelsea, her best friend was a gay dude named Nathan. We hung out all the time.
Mom is bi.
There's another dude named John that I had a civics class with. He was really cool. Sat next to me. We chatted all the time. So that's not it.
Gay kiss and straight kiss bother me equally. Yeah, I close my eyes when people are kissing on TV shows. It's just I don't know.
It bothers you, huh?
Yeah,
Or
well,
why?
I wouldn't say bothers me, but like I get uncomfortable, I guess. I just don't want to see people kissing. Um, but like I've kissed my friends and they've kissed their friends and whatever else. So I don't think
I don't know. There is something. The point is that there's something in humans, I think, that has some that you know. I think gay dudes have a visceral reaction to straight people being together, and straight people can have a visceral reaction to gay people being together. Just the thought of it. Not that it's, something that we should be okay with, of course. Like, people should be able to live their own lives, obviously. And I will support it to the end of my days. But there is that kind of odd feeling, I guess, for gay people seeing straight people and vice versa. I don't know. So, point is that I don't know what this dude's whole bit is here, but he's not just saying that he doesn't like seeing like two gay guys like be together on his front lawn. He's saying he wants to prevent gay people from being allowed to be together. That is a step beyond anything that is okay, obviously.
Out naked. I'd have guys having sex in front of my house sometimes. I'd come out. It's just disgusting. Like,
Sounds like a good time.
I don't want to see straight people doing it either. And it was just like they allow it when the gay guys are doing it. Like, it's just absolutely foul. And it's like, it shouldn't be something you should be proud of. It should be something maybe you're like not, maybe a little bit ashamed, like you used to be.
ashamed.
No, you should not be ashamed about being who you are.
You should feel the exact same way about a straight couple as you should about a gay couple, or at least express it the exact same way. And I think I agree that you shouldn't have like a gay couple sitting on your front porch having sex, and the same goes for a straight couple. But that's just because people shouldn't be doing that right there in
Right.
public, out in the open.
Yeah, and of course, I'm not even sure I believe everything that
Well,
he's saying here.
I
So,
doubt that happened. It's just
yeah, he should be ashamed. He should be ashamed of being the scumbag that he is. Gay penguins. I don't know what that's in reference to.
someone said same-sex couples occur in nature, and they do. For example, there was a famous gay couple of penguins.
Yeah, they do. It's very common.
I love gay penguins.
It is a natural occurrence in nature. It's like 15%, 10 to 15% of any given population, I believe, does that. And it's not genetic. I understand. I did research for this for one of my books. I think it was the Hitler book. But the bottom line is the reason that there's like a tendency to be gay in human society is because it's a method of taking care of unwanted children. Like, if parents die and have orphaned their children now, historically, caveman days and earlier, gay people who have wanted children take them in. That's why it's considered evolutionarily advantageous to have like gay people basically in society. And it's not an and it's not a genetic thing either. I understand the way it works is the mother basically interprets the foreign body as being like a bad thing, and it releases antigens to try to fight against the foreign body, if I remember correctly. And the more children, the more boys she has, the more effective her body becomes at releasing antigens to fight the foreign body. The more antigens release, the more likely the kid is to be gay. So like the third, the fourth, the fifth boy in a family is most likely to be gay over like the first boy.
Woke climate change making the penguins gay. Yeah, they're making the frogs gay too. Can you believe it?
Okay, old Alex Jones, man. We got to find something good to watch from him. He's nothing but entertaining. Anyway, do you want to continue?
Yeah.
Pushed under the closet, maybe for a reason.
Well, they try to, and the reason the prosecutors can kind of get away with this sometimes, and they're less and less able to as years go on, but because there's this demonization of patriotism, there's this demonization of...
No, there's a demonization of nationalism. Don't confuse the two. Nationalism is wrong. Patriotism is not. He is a nationalist, a white nationalist. He thinks that white people should control the government uniquely and nobody else.
Demonization of who we are and what we want to do. They like to portray us in the media as we are this maniacal evil. And, they say that because they really want us to be maniacal and evil. They wanted to have us be dismissible as caricatures, but we're not. We are genuinely who and what we say we are.
You are a colossal scumbag is what you are, actually. But okay.
You have two sides of this. You have people who are flaunting their genitals in front of children.
Nobody is doing that. What a vile, disgusting thing to even say or to think. No one is doing that. Get help.
People who talk about wanting to corrupt the innocence of young kids.
Who is saying that? Who wants to corrupt the innocence of kids other than your ass?
The only thing I've heard that could be even kind of what they're talking about is people telling kids that gay people exist. Like, I had a girlfriend and she had a little sibling, and the sibling knew that we were dating. Oh no, now this kid's corrupted because he knows that two girls can date each other.
Nobody cares, actually.
And
like, especially when they're kids.
When I was little, I would get stuff about gay people like on YouTube or whatever, and I didn't even question it. I didn't bat an eye at it because it's not crazy. It's just two people have a crush on each other. Two people are dating. I have never in my entire life seen a little kid be corrupted or their innocence be taken away because they find out two people are dating each other.
Yeah, nobody really cares. It's like racism. Racism isn't, it only exists because somebody wanted something and they created this racist hate. You don't hate people with gray hair. You don't hate people with white hair or black hair or blonde hair or whatever. In the exact same way, nobody would hate somebody for having black skin or white skin or whatever, unless there was a racist goal behind it. Somebody trying to benefit in some way.
All of this stuff is taught, and I can say that with 100% certainty because I was raised differently than like my cousin, who I call my brother. We were raised two different ways. I am not racist, and I'm, obviously not homophobic, and I'm not sexist, whatever. And he was until I had to like talk to him about it. He was raised to be racist and homophobic and everything else. And I just wasn't told to be anything. If you're not told to hate someone, you're not going to hate them.
Right. Definitely. And again, like, I don't hate gay people. I don't hate anybody for anything. Hate is taught. And people say, well, human beings are tribal by their nature. To some degree, you like finding people that have common interests. Yeah. But it's not about racism. They're not racist by nature. Racism is bred by somebody who wants something from you. That's the only time racism appears.
And then you have people who want families. You have people who want strong families. You have people who want a strong and virtuous culture, free from vice. We tell guys not to do drugs. We tell guys to work out. We have everybody's
Would you kick them
disciplined.
out for doing drugs, or you strongly encourage against it, or alcohol and stuff? Is it more strongly discouraged, or is it like an absolute
It
kick out?
certainly depends on the case. People are allowed to drink alcohol in the
But
organization.
if they spin out of control, then you want them.
Then yes,
So if
we have social controls for those things.
Yeah,
if
'cause
you
some
if
of
you are an
they just
alcoholic,
think, yeah,
but always
you have standards, but you try to help people first. Get them.
Oh my God, this dude is not letting him get a word in edgewise right now. You're gonna let him speak?
Yeah,
if
'cause some
if
of
you are an
they just
alcoholic,
think, yeah,
but always
you have standards, but you try to help people first. Get them.
exactly, because we have that community, and especially when guys have these extra bonds of attachment when they're in our self-improvement networks.
Gay. Yeah.
If you live with members, if you work with members, maybe you go somewhere with the membership. You have guys who are staying, working together. You go there because you do need that help.
Working together, staying together. Go on.
Roommates. They're
Right.
roommates.
Roommates.
But we will always lean.
People usually get the addiction when life's not going good, and it's easy to spiral into that stuff. It's like I've had friends. I mean, I've done drugs myself, never had any addiction, luckily. But there's been times like during COVID, I had just retired from fighting. I was locked in my house, everything was closed. I started like drink, not heavy. If I was drinking like weak, and then I realized like, okay, this is a problem.
Dude is downplaying. He's like, well, not heavily. Well, didn't you just say that it was a problem? So it sounds like it was heavily drinking. You can't even admit it when you're trying to like make an example of yourself.
But I was just so bored. I was losing my mind. So I could understand how people would they just feel desperate.
Especially when people live on their phones and it's constant mass media, it detaches you from the real world. It detaches you from your natural stimulus.
Bro, what's wrong with living on your phone? I love living on my
I
phone.
was about to say that.
Yeah, seriously. There's nothing wrong with using your phone all the time. I do. You just gotta keep, moderate. You have to have it. You have to do it in moderation for sure. It has to be
How do you
moderation.
moderate that?
You gotta go outside every now and then. And do something every now and then.
Can I sit outside on my phone?
I guess, but it seems like, you would want to, it seems like it would be better to just kind of enjoy the outdoors.
My daily average of screen time this week is 10 hours and 13 minutes, and that is down 9% from last week, and it's because I've been on streams.
I use my phone a lot as well, and my computer, and so I'm always on my computer, always, always, always.
Yeah.
Or on my games or something. If it's working, if it's editing, if it's recording or whatever, I'm always on here.
I just listen to a lot of music.
Oh, yeah, I do too. I don't see any problem with using your phone a lot. It just as long as it's not a problem, which means you're not crossing the street using your phone or whatever, for example.
I would never.
And it allows despair to creep in because we're not meant to live like that. We're not meant to live.
We're meant to have community,
Exactly.
and that's what's falling apart. I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
That's pretty strong. Let's go where we disagree.
Being on your phone can help create a community, though. I moved away from all of my friends and people who I would consider to be my family, and I can still talk to them literally every single day because I'm on my phone.
Totally.
Agree a little bit.
Yes.
Let's hit race, because you're a white only group.
So the organization only allows people of American ethnicity, right? Which I think it's an ethnicity, and all of
Okay, well, you're incorrect, first of all. And second, wow, American ethnicity, a white-only group. How can you possibly justify talking to this guy? Seriously, if you talk to this dude and agree with him on all of this shit and, signal boost him, you are a scumbag. That is wild.
Americans, I believe, come from Europe, so they're white. Essentially, yes, the answer is. And we do that because it's a matter of representation. Do I think other races are bad? Do I want to hurt them? No, I don't.
Yeah, this is...
The guy said yeah in the background.
Yeah. This is a common kind of reframing. I don't think they're bad. I just think that they should be separate but equal. That was the famous
Yeah.
thing. I forget what it was.
Segregation line.
Yeah,
It
segregation line.
was 60s or 50s, I think.
Yeah, segregation line, separate but equal. That's what he's giving us right now. What is wrong with you?
I understand that the guy was just he was saying, yeah, continue. But he goes, and, do I think that they're bad? And they go, yeah. It's so funny.
Totally.
Don't. We have a specific interest in persisting and prevailing a certain culture and heritage, right? What we see as our ethnic interest. And in order to embody and represent that, just like a government, we want to represent it, we need to compose ourselves of it. just like
Oh, check this out, by the way. On this game, real fast, this next spot always got people trapped because you're like, where do I go? What do I do? I don't know where to go. The answer is you go to this tunnel and you lay a power bomb. Why would anybody ever think that this is what you were supposed to do?
Twitch chat is talking about how there was a tick that makes you allergic to meat.
Did you see it
I
busted?
saw, yeah.
Really? A tick that makes you allergic to meat?
I wish I literally sent you the meme. I wish I could send pictures in Twitch because I had a really funny meme for that.
Okay,
It's so
interesting.
but yeah, the vegans have released their final defense.
Right.
like again, we try to act like a good government should. If our government was trying to represent the interest of American, the people whose families have been for 100 years, but every single person in the government was Indian or Russian or Chinese,
Yeah.
would they be able to do that? Absolutely.
Okay. Well, what he's describing is a problem caused by ethno-nationalism. This is a fictitious problem that doesn't exist, but he's describing people favoring one race over another as the issue. Maybe we just shouldn't do that. You ever consider that one? Never knocked that one around the old noggin? It's clear as day to me, obvious that we should not favor one race over another, treat people differently, better or worse, whatever, based on the color of their skin or some other immutable attribute. But this guy doesn't seem to, I guess he just doesn't agree with that. That's wild.
What's the incentive?
Yeah. I get
Different people have different interests.
I have to disagree a little bit though, because it said, okay, what about the natives? You can't say they're not Americans. The black people were brought over here, a lot of them, and forced to be slave bred. I don't think it's not fair to say they're not Americans. You know, the Chinese came over, built our railroads.
Oh, this is interesting. We're going to get a different perspective from Jake Shields over here.
Pushback, that's interesting.
Cauliflower ear Jake Shields. Are you familiar with that? Cauliflower ear?
No.
When somebody gets,
Yes, I am.
someone gets punched in the ear really hard, it gets all messed up and it looks super weird. And he's got it.
I think
Here's where
that
There you go. Now you can see it.
oh yeah. I think that he's bringing up a point that a lot of people bring up. Like Native Americans are literally native. They were here before everyone else. So you can't really exclude them,
Right.
and black people were literally forced over here for slavery. Can't exclude them. He's bringing up that a lot of Chinese and Asian people were brought over here and then built the railroads. Can't really exclude them. So I think that it's interesting that he's bringing up this.
I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that he's like giving any pushback whatsoever to this. Let's see what he says.
of them and forced to be slave bred. I don't think it's not fair to say they're not Americans. You know, the Chinese came over and built our railroads. So this is where I do think white people did a ton for building the country, and I am very pro-white.
Yes.
But I think it's kind of unfair to say they're not Americans too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, when you're talking about the Indians or the tribal nations, the term Native American.
People say Native American now, which I don't understand why.
Exactly.
Well, I
Because
mean,
they're not Indian.
yeah, like Columbus called them Indians because he thought that he found a new route to India.
He's stupid.
I mean, no one is offended by Indian. That's how a lot of treaties were written. So a lot of tribes prefer to be called Indian rather than Native American. So it's whatever. It's just the correct term is all. Like,
It's like you can't call people Indian and then have a separate group that's also Indian. It just doesn't make any
confusing
sense.
as hell, yeah.
Um,
Or confusing as HE double hockey sticks.
it's okay if you I can't remember the word for some reason, but if you tell people which group you're talking about, if you give them context, but they're Native Americans because they're people who are native to America.
Yeah. These
What?
people are idiots.
Exactly. Well, before Europeans came here, there was no America. The Algonquin and the Cherokee didn't call themselves Americans before the 1960s, actually. The term Native.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Interesting. So he's saying that these people named the land and that makes them Americans uniquely versus actually living in the land. So are South Americans not Americans then? I mean, you're not calling them United Statesians. You're calling them Americans, right? Aren't we from the Americas?
Native American was coined in the 1960s when everybody was supposed to be a hyphenated American, except for, of course, European Americans or white Americans or whatever, which I think were just Americans.
Okay.
But, the hyphenated American.
I agree with that. You're just Americans. I think everyone who is in America is just an American because that's what they chose to be.
Yeah.
Like if you live here, Native Americans, yeah, they're Americans. He's an American. People who have American citizenship are American. That's just kind of how it works.
Like, there's no why would you even separate yourself this way? I don't understand why you would want to
And
separate people like this.
he's the one separating himself too. He's like, well, European Americans, yeah, you could just drop the European part. We aren't gonna question if like a white person says they're American any more than we're gonna question if a native person says they're American or if a black person says they're American. It's not crazy.
By the way, I don't know if you've ever seen this. Probably not, right?
No.
I forget this dude's name, but he's like, he is a boss that you have to push back, and we're in this hot area, and this is acid actually. Under him, it's acid, and you have to push him back into the acid.
Mm-hmm.
And just wait, you'll see. It's kind of crazy. It's crazy that they'd put it in a kid's game.
Oh, this is a kid's game?
Yeah, totally. This is a kid's game from like
1980s.
no, from
2000.
90s.
Or 90s.
Yeah, this is a Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo didn't exist until the 91, maybe. Here you go.
There it is.
There you go. Now watch this. Watch.
Uh-huh.
Keep watching.
Oh, he's gonna turn to bones, isn't he?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's not over yet. You think it's over? Oh, no, not over.
I'm watching him like beg for his life over here.
Just wait. No, you see this little air bubble down here below me? It's moving
Oh,
along.
yeah.
Keep watching. He comes back for revenge. He's going to avenge himself. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here he is. Gonna bust in this room here that I'm stuck in. Here he is.
Oh.
And now he collapses.
Oh. Oh, that poor guy.
Yeah. His name is, God, I don't remember his name, actually.
1993, apparently.
93. There you go. It's a really cool game, though. I love this game. It's really good.
Americanism and applying that to the tribal nations, I think it's a form of like neoliberal colonialism. You're
Yeah.
trying to force everybody in this identity, and a lot of the people, they didn't want it because they've never been.
They don't want to be an American. They just don't have to be. Get a citizenship for somewhere else. America's a country, not an ethnicity.
You don't have to identify as an American. Yeah. Like, it's your choice if you want to identify as an American,
I
right?
see a lot of people who were born here who will tell people like they'll do a DNA test and tell people whatever ethnicity they came back as most like related to, Irish or Swedish or English, which
German.
yeah, German, which is like okay, whatever. But like you just don't have to say you're an American. It's
Right.
not that hard. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, it's not an ethnicity. It just isn't. American is not an ethnicity. That jump is really hard to do. I did it first try.
You
It's
talk
cool.
about the culture of these tribal nations, whether it's the Blackfoot or Comanche or Cherokee. They have a thread of continuity in being culturally, ethnically, religiously, and socially, even financially, economically, geographically distinct from us. That goes back hundreds of years.
So he's saying that they're under threat of survival ethnically and culturally? And is he saying that they depend on white Anglo-Saxon Protestants for survival? I think that's what he's saying.
He
Even
just
finan-
listed as many differences as he physically could. He's saying that these tribes have so many differences from European Americans that they're basically not the same.
Okay.
Financially, economically, geographically distinct from us. That goes back hundreds of years. And you see this with blacks too. Ever since they were brought over,
Mm-hmm.
there have been differences. There has never been full integration between, and that's okay.
Why hasn't there been full integration, I wonder?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's figure it out. Do a deep dive on history and let's see if he can come back and let us know.
And what's the point? Anyway, like, why are you trying to keep people separated? Why, like, what's the...
But he's trying to keep people separated for the same reason black people have never been integrated into our society, because he's racist.
The real reason why he wants to keep black people and white people separate is because he believes that there is an inferiority there, that black people are just genetically not as good as white people. Now, there is a disparity in the black community between black people and white people. Like, there's a wealth difference, for example, right? And there's a crime difference. Like, black community commits more crime proportionate to their population or whatever. Now, that's the result of one of two things. Either, have you heard me say this before?
No.
Either it's because there are societal issues that exist. And if that's the case, we can fix it. We can work on it. We can, try to give reparations to the black community, build on their society, like free college education, things like that, to try to help fix it. We can try to help build generational wealth and stuff to close that gap. Either it's societal, in which case we can fix it, or it's just a genetic inferiority, in which case you are just Hitler. That's what Hitler believes. That was what the Nazis believe. There's a genetic inferiority. And that is what this guy is espousing, a genetic inferiority to black people. That's what makes him a Nazi, this belief. He's a colossal sack of shit, an evil human being. Like, these people are honestly soulless. They are empty sacks of shit.
Typically, when I was reading somewhere, I think once it's 20% black in a neighborhood, all the white people start fleeing. So it shows you there's, they have a problem.
Well, it shows you there's racism, right? And I haven't heard that before. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but I don't know. Okay, so what? So people start fleeing when there's a large black population. Okay, great.
Problem. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to segregate. I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, but the problem. I actually had some black guests on.
Yeah.
Where they were saying they think the downfall or the initial downfall of black culture was segregation, which I'd never heard that argument, but they're saying that's when black people before had their own doctors, their own stores, own this.
They were represented.
And then all of a sudden they
communities.
switched to welfare, and
Yes.
then hip hop was pushed on them by a certain group, pushed hip hop culture.
Hip hop was pushed on black people? What? What are these people smoking? I don't understand.
And that was kind of what it started collapsing because, I don't consider myself racist at all, but I do see
Oh, I bet you don't. Yes, I bet you don't see yourself as racist.
there is a problem in black culture. If you can't identify that, you're a liar, and a lot of
Yeah, this is the claim. There's a problem in black culture. Like I said,
black people are finally starting to admit it. I mean, and I don't know how to fix that. I guess it's not your issue, I guess, since you're a white group.
We have enough problems fixing our own culture.
in his mind, if there is a problem in black culture, it's either societal, in which case it's fixable, or it's genetic, in which case you're a Nazi.